Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining. Sunil here. Can you hear me? Please confirm in the chat box. Okay. Thank you, Varun. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your responses. Hi, Krishna Rao. How are you doing?
Oh, fine, sir.
All the best for your scheduled interview.
Just 2:30 is started, sir. Completed interview also.
Interview completed?
Completed, sir. 2:30 to 3:15 interview.
45 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how was the questions?
So what you were saying in class is asking those only, sir.
Same?
Same as the same, sir. But I am not revising.
Okay.
Because,
Why you are not revising?
I started with AWS, sir. I just jumping in Git.
At any point of time, you should be ready. Okay. Don't
just,
prepare.
I
Don't
to, what are the questions you asking in the interview? For that purpose, I upload the resume, sir.
Okay. So
Docker,
how you?
Docker images.
Okay.
I attend the all concepts in AWS, sir. It's asking what are the types of load balancers you are using.
Application load balancer, network load balancer, classic load balancer.
The classic load balancer.
Okay.
And Kubernetes, you are asking Kubernetes, sir.
We have not yet completed, right? Otherwise, you should have answered a couple of questions also.
So many companies also asking Jenkins and Kubernetes, sir.
Yeah.
So another call.
Tomorrow you have one more call. Okay.
Jenkins and Kubernetes.
Don't worry, you get more number of calls. Okay. Okay. So only thing what
I was saying in running classes, those asking all that questions, sir.
Okay.
Not go out of comments.
Okay.
You are not going dumps. You are put the dumps. Not go the dumps. Only your
dumps. No, dumps are for certification point of view. Dumps are used not for clearing the interviews, Krishna Rao. The conceptual knowledge for in breaking the interviews, clearing the interviews is different. Preparation for the dumps, that approach is different. Okay. So dumps is only for certification, not for getting the jobs. Okay. So you have to focus on the concepts what we are learning day to day, Krishna. So approximately 45 minutes was the duration.
Yes, sir.
So are you able to handle
Hyderabad's company, sir? OJS Techno Solution Company.
Which company?
OJS.
Okay. So are you able to handle 70% of the questions?
Yes, sir. I think I am 70 to 80.
If you complete Kubernetes, then you close to 80%. You will be answering it.
Yes.
So, okay. All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Only thing,
sir,
don't prepare when the interview is scheduled. Before the interview only, you should be ready. At any point of time, you should be ready for the calls. Okay. If the interview is scheduled within 1 hour also, you should be in a position to answer. Don't prepare. Anytime you should be ready, alert. Okay, Krishna. All the best. Okay. Yes, Maheshwara.
My question is like, so still we have this end of this week, is it completed actually, Kubernetes?
Approximately, yes, you are right, approximately.
So, okay. Sunil, if you
probably
want to...
2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah, I have not started. I want to attend this session one more.
You are welcome. We have started one 11 o'clock batch.
Yeah. So similarly, when you take this time, actually is comfortable for me. Evening time.
After 20 days.
Okay, you are starting a new, I think you are starting AWS or DevOps batch in this session actually?
Definitely in evening, one DevOps will be there. Okay, but after next month.
Okay, sure. And also, I'm also
looking for you'll get the updates in the WhatsApp group.
And Terraform session also, I'm waiting.
No problem. You'll get it. Okay.
And, everything is fine for me since I am from the higher end actually.
Yes.
That's what it's very useful to me, and probably within my organization, I will try the roles actually.
Yeah. All the best. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Yes, Gaurav, how are you doing?
Yeah, hi Sunil, I'm fine. How are you?
Doing well.
Actually, I tried 2 times NagOS installation, but one was showing down. Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry. I mean, maybe some some firewalls rules, the port openings could be some issues. Okay, I will check that, Gaurav. Okay, so don't worry. NagOS is just for monitoring tool. Try to understand the concept. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Anything more?
Uh,
Are you also
yeah.
attending interviews?
Yeah, no, not started. But
Recently, in the July batch, one participant, Mr. What is his name? I got a message. He got what I say, job in Amdocs, Pune. Okay.
oh, good.
So
Wow.
3 years of experience, 9 lakhs package.
Wow. Nice.
Okay. So same in Gaurav. So prepare well. Okay. Not only Gaurav, anybody. Okay, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sunil, can you please share one resume?
Not one resume. We have sample resumes right in DevOps. Go to Telegram group. You'll get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Rajesh Gosika.
Hi Sunil, what is the
Oh.
max notice period they're looking for companies? Actually, I have 3 months of notice period. Is there any difficulties in that
No
notice
problem. No
period?
problem. 3 months, 2 months, you can negotiate it. 3 months is also okay. Companies wait for 3 months. That's not a problem. Okay. Which organization you are from?
Okay. I'm from Value Labs.
Okay, 3 months is the notice period. Don't worry. Okay, no problem. Okay. Once if the
Okay.
profile is shortlisted, if they're happy with the profile, they're ready to wait for 3 months. Rajesh, don't worry about the notice period. Okay, preparation is important. Okay, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. What, Anuj?
Good evening, Sunil.
Good evening. What happened? You're very quiet.
I was listening the success story of guys. They were very delighted.
Okay.
Waiting for the topic.
I'm very much surprised. Not only to Anuj, I'm not talking to Anuj, for everybody. I'm very much surprised. 920 people attended DevOps. Okay, generally this crowd will be for AWS. This much crowd will not be there for DevOps. In this rate, if we are floating the DevOps resources in every organization, one of our old alumni will be there, of alumni and of AWS and DevOps. Okay, so probably that may help pulling the other candidates. So Anuj,
Yes, Sunil.
what is Kubernetes?
So Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool.
How is it different from Docker Swarm?
First of all, it's from Google, and secondly, it recognizes pods. Docker, but difference we have not yet calculated last week, right? It's an advanced version of container orchestration tool.
That's it.
That's it.
Huh? Okay. Docker is tight. Docker Swarm is tightly binded to Docker. Okay. Whereas Kubernetes is not specific to Docker. It can be
just
used
like
for
Terraform.
any other. It can be
Just
used
like,
with any other containerization tool, not only specific to Docker. Okay.
Got it.
The atomic unit what Kubernetes can create is pod. Okay.
Pod.
Inside the pod, what we have is a container. Okay. Yes.
Right.
Yes, Balaji. Good evening, Balaji.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
I just raised hand due to tell the difference between the Docker.
Okay. Yeah, tell me from your point of view.
Yeah, we can create containers only through Docker in Docker Swarm, but in Kubernetes we can use multiple container tools.
Not only Docker, any other container.
Any other, yeah.
Any other.
That's very important. Yes, that's the primary difference. Okay. In next architectural differences in Docker Swarm, a manager takes the load. Okay. In Kubernetes, master does not take the load.
Minions.
Only the minions will take the load. Yes, you are right, Balaji.
Right.
Anything more, Balaji?
Yeah, nothing so.
Any good news? You also have cleared any interview?
No, just I had going to give AWS exam.
Okay. Prepare well, Aman. This month I am experiencing a lot of failures, Balaji. Okay. I recommend. Did you already book the slot?
No, going to.
No. Let me tell you one suggestion. Okay. There is a discount going on in vouchers now in this month, isn't it?
Yes.
So
just
there are
I got the coupon.
You got the coupon. What is the validity?
It's like November 15th till we can book a slot. Till December 4.
Many failures are happening now. I recommend you to postpone for next month.
Yeah, next month.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Balaji.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But a voucher validity is for 1 year. Why it is November 15?
Like it's 50% off. It's going on.
You can reschedule it later because what's running in AWS. They have implemented artificial intelligence. Suppose there are 5 questions for EC2 instances. You answered 3. It is supposed that you should answer all 5. If you correctly answer 3, why you're failing in 4th question? That is why people are getting failed. On the screen, they get congratulations, you are passed. 2 days later, they'll message that your exam is revoked.
How do you know?
That is the difference. I also applied for this one. In fact, voucher has been procured and I rescheduled my exam.
Why? Any specific reason? Any specific reason for rescheduling?
The similar thing.
The artificial intelligence, the failures.
In fact, right. In fact, 8 out of 10 are getting revoked.
Yeah. So Balaji, please postpone.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah. Even proxy support people are also failing. Okay, proxies is the people who used to write on behalf of you, taking the keyboard and mouse.
Not even proxy. Those who have cram dumps and doing by their own, they are getting failed.
So there are a lot of failures, Balaji. Okay, especially in this month, I have seen many people failing. Okay, even though there's even I think some, as you said, Anu said, there's some software artificial intelligence algorithm is running. So please don't take risk now.
Yeah.
You end up losing your voucher. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Sai Varun.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, regarding this voucher thing itself, sir, I have applied, sir, but I haven't received any sort of voucher still. It has been 2 weeks since I have applied.
I'm not sure, Varun. Okay. Try to directly contact the certification center people, the Prometric testing center, whatever it is. Okay, they'll guide you, Varun. Okay.
Okay, sir.
To avail the discount. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Let's move on. In the last session, we have ended up understanding the Kubernetes architecture, but we have not discussed about the individual components of Kubernetes. A cluster is a combination of master and node. If you can see the image, this is a cluster with combination of one master. This is one master. This is one master. Cluster. So this is a cluster which is combination of one master and one node. Okay, so one master can have multiple nodes, 2 nodes, 3 nodes, it's up to them. So cluster is combination of master and node. We have not discussed about individual components of architecture. So today we'll be discussing about individual components of architecture. If you look at the architecture, Kubernetes master contains 4 important components. As you can see in the image, it is having 4 important components. Kube API server. First component, kube scheduler. As you can read it, it's pretty obvious. We have kube scheduler, we have controller manager, and we have etcd. These are the 4 components what we have in the master machine. Coming to node machine, node machine is having 3 components: container engine, kubelet, and kube-proxy. So let's understand the job done by each and every component. Okay. As a DevOps engineer, you will be creating a YAML file. Let's say you want to create containers, you want to create pods, whatever you want to create it, you write the requirement in form of a YAML file. The YAML file is also called as definition file. So whatever the infrastructure requirement you want, you will write it in the form of a YAML file. YAML file is also called as a definition file. So what information the YAML file contains? The YAML file contains how many nodes you want. Each node should have how many pods. Each pod should have how many containers. All this information. What is the name of the container? What is the name of the pod? Everything you write it a file called as YAML file. All the above information is available in the form of YAML file. YAML file is also called as manifest file. That's what you want to manifest. That's what you want to create it. So your requirements you will be writing in the form, your requirements you will be writing in the form of a YAML file. So as a DevOps engineer, as you can see the diagram, as a DevOps engineer, as you can see the diagram, you will be writing a YAML file and you will be sending the YAML file to the Kubernetes.
Okay.
And the YAML file, you need to provide it to Kubernetes master. As you can see the diagram, we are not submitting the YAML file to the node machine. You're not submitting the YAML file to the node machine. Everything you need to communicate to the master machine only. So you will be submitting your YAML file in the master machine. In master machine, which component is receiving your request? Which component is receiving your request? You can see Kube API server. So let's have some discussion about Kube API server. Kube API server acts like a receptionist.
Okay.
The Kube API server acts like a receptionist. So when you go to an organization, when you go to a hotel, there'll be receptionist welcoming to the customer server, isn't it? In the same way, the Kube API server is a component which acts like a receptionist. The responsibility of the Kube API server is to take the YAML file. Kube API server will take the YAML file, and then action is not performed by the API server. Kube API server will not perform the action. That particular definition file will be passed on to Kube scheduler component. The information will be sent to the Kube scheduler component. Let's discuss about the first component called Kube API server. Kube API server acts like a receptionist. It receives a YAML file and passes the request to the which component? The Kube scheduler component. The Kube scheduler component is the actual component which is performing the action. The component in the master machine which performs the action is Kube scheduler. It is a responsibility of the Kube scheduler to perform the action. Kube scheduler will take the action. Taking the action is nothing but it is a responsibility of the Kube scheduler to create pods, to create containers. Everything is done by the component called Kube scheduler. Next. etcd. You can see there is a component called etcd. etcd is also called as cluster store. It's also called as cluster store. It has the information about the complete cluster information will be available in etcd. And the information is stored in the etcd. It is used to store the information about master. It is used to store the information about nodes. It will store the information of pods. It will store the information about containers. It's all a storage center. It's something like a database. And the data is stored in the form of key value pair.
Key value pair.
What information is stored? So if you are sending a request that you require these many number of pods, you want to create this inside the pod, you want to have a container. This is the name of the container. And that container should use this particular interface. The complete information is stored in the etcd component. Okay, it is called as a cluster store. It contains the complete information about the status of the cluster. That is about the component called etcd.
etcd.
The pending concept is pending component is controller manager. You can see in the diagram, controller manager responsibility is to make sure that the actual state is desired state.
Desired state.
What is a desired state? Desired state is nothing but the information what you're mentioning in the YAML file. This is the desire. This is your desire. You make sure that the cluster actual state is as per the desired state. So for every fraction of a second, the controller manager responsibility is to make sure that the actual state of the cluster is same as desired state. In case if the actual state of the cluster is not same as desired state, automatically what happens? New pods getting created. So what are the missing components, missing missing objects, whatever that will be automatically created, and always make sure that the actual state is same as desired state. So that's the responsibility of what component called controller manager.
Control manager.
It is a responsibility to make sure that the actual state is same as desired state. These four components put together is called as control plane. When I say control plane or when I say Kubernetes master, both are the same. These are the four components of Kubernetes master. These are the four components of Kubernetes master. Any questions? Any questions in understanding the components of Kubernetes master?
So Sunil, that means once the information is received in the form of YAML file, it is passed to Kube scheduler. Kube scheduler provision everything.
Yes.
And once everything is being done, it is a sign of handed over to control manager. Now everything is, so it checks whether actual state is equal to desired state, yes or no. If it is yes, it does nothing.
Yes.
If no, it triggers.
So make sure that again it actual state is same as desired state.
So this is the only job of this component.
Component called controller manager.
Got it.
Okay. You may get it, Krishna, in the interview. Okay, explain the Kubernetes architecture. Very, very important. Okay, so understanding, explaining this architecture is also important. Theory is also important. Let's move on to understand the components of Kubernetes node. Kubernetes node. Node contains three components: kubelet, kubeproxy, container engine. When I say container engine, Anuj, is nothing but Docker.
Docker.
Okay.
Right.
Next, let's discuss about the first component called kubelet. Let's discuss about the first component called kubelet. This kubelet component is called as agent. This component is called as agent. Why it is called as agent? Because this is the only component which is listening to master.
Kube scheduler. Right.
Master. Okay, in master also, as you're right, which component it will coordinate with? Kube scheduler.
Kube scheduler.
This is the only component which is having communication to Kubernetes master. That's why it is called as an agent, because it listens to master. In master also, it listens to which component? Kube scheduler, because kube scheduler is responsible for performing an action.
Right.
When it is performing an action, everything should be created in the node machine only. Nothing will be created in the master machine. You know, master machine will not take the load.
Right.
So kube scheduler component in the master and the kubelet component in the node coordinate with each other to make sure that the actions are performed.
Yep. Similar positions.
So that's why it's called as an agent, because it listens to master.
Correct.
Kubelet is called as an agent as it listens to Kubernetes master. In Kubernetes master, kube scheduler is a component which communicates to kubelet. We already have discussed. Kubelet also communicates to container engine called Docker. You can see the integration diagram. Kubelet is an agent which will communicate to Docker so that the containers gets created. The component which is communicating to Docker is kubelet. And you know, containers are created in pods only.
Pods.
In Kubernetes, you will never find a container outside the pod. In Kubernetes, you will never find a container outside the pod. Anything will be inside the pod. Okay. Kubeproxy, one more component, kubeproxy. It is the responsibility of the kubeproxy to provide IP address to pod. When we're learning about Docker, Anuj, we know that every container will also have an IP address.
Right.
Similarly, here, every pod will also have an IP address. It is whose responsibility to provide IP address to the pod? It's kubeproxy responsibility to provide the IP address to the pod.
Similar to DHCP server.
Similar to it. So these are the components of Kubernetes node. So we had a understanding about components of Kubernetes master and components of Kubernetes nodes.
Sunil, one thing. So that means this particular Kubernetes master, it must be installed on one instance, EC2 instance, and this for nodes, they are different EC2 instance, right?
Yeah, we'll see it soon when we start practicals, isn't it?
Got it.
Vasant.
Sunil, where is the pod in that architecture diagram?
Okay, in this diagram.
Yeah, where is the pod? Actually?
Can you identify where is the container?
Yeah,
container one and container two. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one more abstraction layer here, isn't it? Okay. So obviously containers are inside the pod.
Okay. So what is the pod responsibility? What actually does actually?
It's not responsible. That's how architecture is designed. Okay.
Okay.
That's how architecture is designed. Kubernetes can create pod. Okay. Inside the pod, you will have a container. So as per Kubernetes, you can say pod equal to container. Pod equal to container.
Kubernetes instructing container engine to create the containers inside the pod, right?
You are right.
Who will create the pod? Kubernetes, like how the
kubelet.
Like when we install the Kubernetes on the node.
One point. Docker engine like container engine like Docker cannot create pod. Agree?
Yes.
So what it will create? Kubelet creates the pod. Okay. Kubelet creates the pod and it triggers the container so that the container engine like Docker will be creating inside that particular pod. Okay. And kubeproxy will assign the IP address to that particular pod. Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
Clear, Vasant? Clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Balaji.
Hi, Sunil. Just small doubt. Just we can have multiple nodes.
You mean to say cluster can have multiple nodes or not?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. As I said, here this is a cluster of one master and
one node.
one node. Same thing, you can have one, you can visualize one master with two nodes also. Multiple nodes are possible.
ETCD like a disaster recovery, right?
ETCD is not disaster, it's a database, it's an information cluster.
Okay.
It's an information center. Okay, where complete information about how many nodes are there. Each node is having how many pods. Each pod is having how many containers. What is the name of the pod? What is the name of the container? Complete information is tracked in ETCD. Okay, that's the information center.
Like database.
Like database. You're right.
Any full form for that ETCD?
Even I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sunil, if I compare pod, it's just like an envelope. When we go to the market, every
Exactly.
object is given is in envelope. There may be a one object in one envelope.
Yes.
Maybe have multiple object in one envelope. So that is a pod.
You're right. In Docker Swarm, manager takes the load. We already had discussed this in the previous session.
Correct.
In Kubernetes, manager is called as master. So we should not use the term manager here. In Kubernetes, if you can see, we will use a term called master. Kubernetes master does not take the load. It only distributes the load to slaves. Slaves are nothing but nodes. Nodes are also called as minions. Yes, we have seen it. We have represented it. Nodes is also called as minion. Minions combined together is called as a cluster. Okay, fine. The smallest object Kubernetes can create is pod. We also discussed this.
Right.
Within the pod, we'll have a container. Yes, we know that. Kubernetes commands are created using the Kubernetes commands are always triggered using kubectl. Okay. When this Kubernetes tool has been introduced in the year 2014. Okay, 6 years back. Okay. You can practice Kubernetes on AWS. Okay. If you want to practice Kubernetes on AWS, we'll be using a service called as EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. If you want to practice Kubernetes on Azure, you are welcome. You can also practice Kubernetes on Azure. In such case, the service what you need to use in Azure is AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service. You can also practice Kubernetes on GCP. In that case, you have to use Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE.
Right.
Practicing Kubernetes on AWS is a very expensive affair. We cannot practice this in the T2 micro instances. It needs a lot of good configuration. We need to have minimum 2 CPUs and we should have each node should have 4 GB RAM. There are several other ways to practice Kubernetes. Okay, there is a site called katacoda.com which helps you to practice Kubernetes instead of AWS. We can also practice Kubernetes on Katacoda. Let's experience Katacoda once.
Sunil, one thing, if I want to calculate what is the price, can I do it?
I'll tell you. Okay. Everything I'll tell you. So we can practice Kubernetes on Katacoda. Anuj, is this the first time you are listening to this or you already know this?
Yeah, huh? I'm first time listening, sir.
Okay. Okay. Azam, your question, please.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Sir, I have taught in architecture of code.
Yes.
Can you please show that? So, kubelet will get command from kubescheduler, right? And kubeproxy will assign the IP address to the containers. Right?
Not container, to the pod.
Yeah, to the pod.
Yes.
Okay. So in multiple container will have only one IP address.
Multiple?
In a pod, suppose there are 2 or 3 containers.
Okay.
So IP will be same.
For what?
Containers IP.
No. Every container will have its own IP address. Okay. Every container will have its own. No, listen. Please. Assume this is a pod.
Yes. Yes.
Container 1, container 2. Okay. This container will have an IP address. Okay. This container will also have an IP address. Unique. Do you remember Azam Docker networking? We have a networking component Docker 0 network, which assigns the default type by default type. So that behaves that job is done. Okay. So whether it is inside the Kubernetes or outside the Kubernetes, that behave, every container will have an IP address. Next, pod will also have an IP address. Okay.
Okay.
That is different. So every IP address is pod is having its own IP address. Container is also having IP. No confusion. Okay, Azam. Am I clear?
Pods IP will be from different driver and
different driver and
from 0.
Yes, you are right.
Container will be from 0.
You are right. Okay.
So proxy server will assign IP address to the container. Right? Yes. To
not container pod.
Okay. How proxy server will come to know that I have to assign the IP to the pod?
It's not knowing that the moment a container is created, automatically the IP address will be assigned to the container.
So kubectl will inform to proxy server.
Obviously, these components are interrelated with each other. Okay. The moment a pod gets created, immediately it's that particular it acquires an IP address. It's group proxy, which is actually assigning the IP address to that particular pod. So kube proxy get a notification automatically saying that a particular pod has been created.
Okay. Task is divided here. kubectl will work for the pod, and container engine will work to create the container. Right?
Yeah, you are right.
Okay,
Azam?
Yes. Thank you.
So we can practice Kubernetes on Katacoda. So let's experience how exactly Kubernetes can be done on Katacoda. In Katacoda, we have an option called Learn. And Anuj, what we want to learn is Kubernetes. Okay. Kubernetes. I select Kubernetes. Launch single node cluster. What does that mean? Cluster with one node.
One node, one master.
Launch a multi-node cluster. That means cluster with multiple nodes. Okay, I want to deal with multiple nodes. Okay, I'm starting this scenario. Already have signed up.
Sunil, I want to thank you and compliment that you are teaching AWS in such a nice way. I received a call and the guys were asking for 400 USD. 30,000.
You are getting a call from
different companies for AWS training and all. So I joined
different training institutes.
Training institute. They were asking 399 USD, 29,000.
Okay.
2 calls I attended. Later I said thank you. I don't want.
Okay.
I have some other sources.
You have given your number to other institutes.
Third time if they call, I'll tell them go and join on this link and get it free.
Okay.
But it's really good. Your sessions are really good, Sunil.
You already have completed, right?
Yeah, AWS is done.
Okay, yeah, AWS is done.
And I have posted many of my friends to go and join the live class at least.
Do you remember the first today's session? I've people from Afghanistan join.
Right. In fact, today's DevOps batch, I heard that one person from United States, 2:30 a.m. in the morning, and
yeah, you are there today's session.
Yeah, I was there. Actually, 10. I left 10 classes, Sunil. I joined DevOps batch 10 class later.
Oh,
right.
okay.
I covered everything in recording, and I was just to listen to that.
Just okay. Yeah.
But I understood. I just want to check
1:30 in afternoon, midnight 1:30. He's attending.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He's an American national.
So that is your achievement, actually. People are sitting in odd hours just to listen you live. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like something wrong. I have not logged in.
Login is need to it.
Okay, start scenario. Okay. Understanding Katacoda environment is very important. Even though we don't practice on Katacoda, there's something important to learn in Katacoda. If you can see, there are two terminals, Anuj. One is control plane, the other one is node. Okay.
Node.
Control plane, you can see nothing but Kubernetes master. Okay, this is node is nothing but minion.
Minion.
I hope you remember we have created a multi-container, multi-node cluster.
Right.
I'll be first. I have to configure master. I need to initialize master. I have to initialize master. So that means you can visualize this something like an EC2 machine. Okay, and this is one more EC2 machine. Different hardwares. Okay.
Two EC2 machines.
Yeah. So first we are working on Kubernetes master. So first I am initializing master. The first thing what you have to do is to initialize master. Let's wait for the Kubernetes master to get initialized.
Sunil, we don't have control over this particular scenario, right? It's just like Elastic Bean service in Katacoda, right?
Yes, you are right. Let's run this. Okay, so click on continue. Kubernetes needs a container interface. It works on container networking interface. This is the networking component of Kubernetes. You have to configure it. Everything we are running on Kubernetes master. I hope you are understanding. Everything is running on Kubernetes master. We have initialized master and we have initialized CNI as initialized. Additional nodes can join the cluster. Okay. So these are some default components that gets be creating. So on the second node, you have to run this component. This component we have to run it on the node so that this node will join the cluster.
Oh. There are steps mentioned clearly which command needs to run on which.
kubectl get nodes will show you the nodes. Next. You have to deploy the pod. So don't worry about this. Just run the commands. So control plane, so you can see visualize. Control plane is ready. One node is added to the cluster. Okay, one node is ready. Okay, and get pods. Fine, scroll down. Docker container is running on the node. Don't worry about this. Deploy the dashboard. These are the default commands you have to configure the Kubernetes.
So the moment we
master.
click it, the moment
it
we
gets
click,
it executed.
Oh, we don't have copy paste here, right?
You don't need that. Okay. So don't worry. So we are running some commands on the Kubernetes master. We are running some commands on the Kubernetes node. So that node is joining to the master. And congratulations, we have completed configuring Kubernetes master. We also have added node to the master. We have seen it. One master we are getting as control plane. The other one we are getting it as node one, isn't it?
Node one.
So
Right.
we have configured a cluster in environment Katakoda. Okay.
Right.
Now. So these are the steps I just documented. Step 3, we need to deploy cloud network interface, kube admin, token list, the same commands which I've just noted. So this is one way. So one free way to practice Kubernetes Katakoda. There's one more free way to practice Kubernetes, labs.playwithk8s.com. So that's also you can practice Kubernetes. I don't want to show this. Okay, that's fine. But both the options are pretty slow. Okay, this is not as fast as robust. Okay. Now, specific to Kubernetes, we will be learning Kubernetes instead of AWS. We'll be learning Kubernetes on GCP. I will be showing Kubernetes on GCP. Okay. The Kubernetes behavior is not dependent on the underlying cloud platform. It is on GCP or it is on AWS or it is on Azure. The behavior is the same. We are now learning Kubernetes on Google Cloud Platform. For that, you have to sign up for Google. Do you remember in AWS, we have signed up for AWS so that we can start working on AWS. Similar to that, you also should sign up for Google Cloud. Okay. So how to sign up for Google Cloud? So if you have a Gmail address, you can easily sign up for Google Cloud. So I'm closing this Katakoda.
Yeah, I tried it, and but I did not make it because reason being first AWS, then GCP. It has a 90 days limitation.
Signing out of all accounts. The URL is cloud.google.com. This is the URL of GCP, cloud. Like aws.amazon.com. The cloud.google.com is a GCP dashboard. Okay.
Right.
Sorry. I already have a GCP account. If you're not having a GCP account, get started for free. If you have a Gmail address, you have to sign up for GCP. It's pretty simple. The moment you sign up for GCP, every GCP account comes with $300 US, Anuj.
Yeah.
Okay. Credits. You'll get 300 credits. Okay. Like AWS is providing free tier limitations. In the same way here, you can use AWS, you can use GCP. When you sign up for GCP comes with how many dollars? $300 US. With this $300 US, whatever the Kubernetes practice, whatever the Kubernetes we are learning, Anuj, you can practice this 10 times. Okay. So that's more than enough for us to practice Kubernetes on GCP. So so if you're not having Google Cloud account, go ahead and sign up for Google Cloud account. I already have Google Cloud account. Let me log into Google Cloud.
Sunil, is it possible to calculate cost practicing Kubernetes in AWS by AWS calculator?
Yeah, it is possible. Yes, you can define that. You have to define the configuration of nodes. Okay, you will see it soon. I've logged into Google Cloud. I have logged into Google Cloud. In the AWS, the landing page is called as AWS Management Console. I hope
console.
So here also we have console. Look at this. Anuj, is the first time you're experiencing GCP?
No, as I said, I was looking to practice GCP, and but I did not create because it has a limitation of 90 days. I said, okay, let's practice AWS, then I'll create one.
Okay. So I logged into console. Okay, click on console. Okay. To practice Kubernetes on GCP, you have to use GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine. Kubernetes Engine. In other words, it's called as a Kubernetes Engine. I want to practice Kubernetes on GCP. So go to this menu and can you see we have Kubernetes Engine, Anuj? And now what I want to do, I want to create a cluster. create cluster. I'm taking with the standard options. Okay. Configure. We are creating a cluster. Let's wait. Yes. What's the name of the cluster? Look, name can be anything. I'm writing it as cluster 1. Go ahead and create a cluster. Okay. As we have used a standard option, the cluster will have how many nodes? Number of nodes, you can see it as 3. Okay, so this is a Kubernetes cluster with how many nodes? 3 nodes.
1 master and 2 minion.
No. 3 nodes.
Yeah, Sunil.
1 minute. 3 nodes.
Okay. 3
This
node
is what?
means
This is what?
Node 1.
This is a node.
Node, right.
So like this, there are 3 nodes.
Okay, so in total 1 master and 3 node.
Yes. Yes, Maheshwara.
So we have not given this 3 nodes, am I right? While configuring, you have given only 1 cluster, correct?
Yes.
Cluster is automatically, it will take 2 nodes.
3 nodes. You can see the cluster is taking 3 nodes.
Automatically it will take.
Because we have taken standard option. If you go for next option, there you can mention how many nodes you want. You can mention 5 nodes, you can mention 2 nodes, it's up to you. As we have taken the default option, by default, it takes 3 nodes. Okay.
So I want to say there is one website called, actually, they're giving some free things to practice the cloud. It is Lab IT Pro. Have you heard about it? Lab IT Pro. Because I registered for it, but I cannot able to use it. Yeah, you click it.
Cloud Lab Simulator. You can simulate AWS infrastructure, I think so.
Isn't
it?
I logged in, but I could not able to practice actually.
These are sandbox environments. Okay.
Yeah.
These are called sandbox environments. You can simulate AWS.
This was mentioned in the AWS book as well. I was going through.
Okay.
No, but I registered here, but I could not able to. I don't know because it might be, but I'm not sure. I don't know the ways to do it actually.
Okay. Even I have not done it, Maheshwara. Okay, so I have not had hands-on on it. Okay. Yes, Naveen.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, it's almost it's similar to Windows failover cluster, right? The cluster in with the 2 nodes, it's a minimum, it is right.
Something you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like number of nodes is default is 3 because in a cluster minimum 2 nodes will be there to perform failover.
Yes, you're right. No, here, no, Naveen.
Yeah.
There's one small difference with respect to understanding the failure. You're referring to Docker Swarm. You're comparing with Docker Swarm.
Yeah.
Naveen, because for the reason because of high availability, we have multiple manager missions. Do you remember, Naveen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
High availability feature. So you have to wait for 5 more minutes to have some more clarity about this cluster.
Okay, sure. Thank you, sir.
Shika.
Hi, Sunil. How are you?
I'm doing well, Shika. How are you doing? And how is your hands-on going on? And how is your learning experience?
Yeah, hands-on going on. Like I have this. Well, I have never started to practice the Docker.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is some like meetings and all in my company. So they
are you able to get the conceptual knowledge?
Yeah, they expired. Yeah, I got that. And the learning experience is very good.
Okay.
My question is that while creating the cluster on GCP, we got the location type, like 2 location type. First is the zonal type, and the second one is regional type, region based. So in AWS, we are getting only one region based. So what is the zonal is here? Like what is the
where can you see zonal?
While creating the cluster, location type, there is a 2 location where when you have chosen the standard, there was 2 location type. First one is the like zonal, and the second one is regional. So by default, zonal was selected, and you just created in zonal location type. Yeah. So I got confused. Like, what is the zonal? Because in AWS, we are getting only the region based.
You're right.
Yes.
Anuj, you're saying something?
No, similar. I was supporting Shikha that yes, while creating it was having like the same situation she was going.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
not sure, Shikha, because I need to check that. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
No problem.
Maybe zonals are different regions or something like that.
Yeah, might be.
Like
But
how
soon
we
we'll
have.
be looking for this training from yours.
Oh my God! How many?
You,
No.
now you need
I
to
cannot
explain.
do that.
I still remember you plan to quit your job and will convince your family and waiting for Terraform.
Okay.
But I really appreciate your like AWS training.
Okay.
I have joined 2 times, like for
Okay.
the 11 a.m. and again I'm joined the 9 a.m. also.
Okay.
So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, 9 a.m. batch is also doing very good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
I'm
early.
also doing the same. I joined the same.
Yeah. Thank you, Shikha.
Yeah.
Sunil, is it possible for me to get in 11 a.m. batch? There are 2 reasons for that. Reason one,
No. I don't need reasons. You send an email to support team. We'll send you the registration link. Okay.
Cool.
That's all.
But I want to explain this because more than 50 participants.
Our
of mine
policy.
reference are there.
Anuj, our policy. Pay once, you'll have lifetime membership. Okay. 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 So
No, the technical reason is everybody is not lucky enough to get interaction with you. If they have doubt, I was there sitting in that to answer their doubt on WhatsApp. So
okay.
If they're not getting chance, I don't have any doubts because I have discussed a lot with you.
Okay.
So Nina, Anuj is trying. Anuj is trying to copy your like learning and teaching methodology, each and everything.
So you're also becoming trainer.
Yeah, that's why might be he's planning.
So which one you're planning to start?
I am not. Anuj is planning. I think that's why he's
no, Shikha, we are forced to do such things once we are senior. The team, the IBM and other companies utilize senior resources to give training to the floor people and other. So I am in that part for 14 years.
Okay. You worked as a faculty, a trainer, Anuj?
Exactly. Yeah. They in fact they pick up the senior resources and out of there in leisure time they said go and give training
to the folks.
Yep. Yeah, it's free. Internal trainings are free.
Oh yeah, internal trainings. Yeah.
That's why I appreciate the way you deliver, the way examples you choose is fabulous.
Thank you.
Please continue, Sunil.
Done. Few questions. This is a cluster with how many nodes, Anuj? 3 nodes. Okay. 6 CPUs. That means each node is having 2 CPUs. Total memory is 12 GB. That means each node is having 4 GB RAM. Do you agree? Isn't it? So, these are more better than T2 micro instances. So finally, you have to understand that. Okay. Next. Observation: the cluster size is 3. By default, as we have taken the default option, you have a 3-node cluster. If you want, you can change it to 4-node cluster, 5-node cluster. No. Point. Right. Very important point. I'm referring to the Naveen Kumar question. Anuj, where is the master machine? Kubernetes master. Okay.
I don't see it.
Here is the most important point. The Kubernetes understanding architecture is the Kubernetes master component is provided as form of a service. Kubernetes engine, the master machine is provided as a infrastructure as a service.
Right. Got it.
Okay. Naveen, Kubernetes master is given as a form of a service in cloud platform.
Okay.
As there is given as form of a service in cloud platform, there is no downtime.
Okay.
High availability already achieved.
Yes.
Naveen.
Yes, sir.
I think you're referring to that point. I agree.
Yes. Yes.
I hope now I have answered your question.
Yes,
okay?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as master is provided as form of service, there is no concept of connecting to master, Naveen. There is no concept of connecting to master. The moment you connect, you can click connect. You will be by default connected to master machine only.
Master machine. Okay.
There is no
as a service.
There is no concept of connecting to node. Impossible. Whatever you want to do it, you've provided it in the form of YAML file to which machine? Master machine only. Your master machine you are already is provided as form of a service. The moment you're connecting to service. That means you're connecting to master. That's it.
Okay. Sir.
Okay. Connecting to node is ruled out. That's very important because there's nothing to do in the node. Everything is controlled from the master machine only, and master machine is provided as form. This is very important point to understand this. Many people do not understand this. Okay, master machine is provided as form of service.
So until we go creating Kubernetes in our local bare metal servers,
then you have to That is the reason why, no, that is the reason, very important. Naveen and others. Why did I shown you Katacoda before getting into GCP? I should have directly gone into GCP, right? Why I have spent some time, I have spent a couple of minutes showing you Katacoda to visualize that you have, if it is a bare metal server or if your own instances, you have to create an EC2 machine, and whatever the commands which you have configured in Katacoda, Anuj, those commands you have to configure it so that it behaves like a master. And then it generates a token command. That token command, copy it and run it in the nodes. That nodes will be added to the cluster, and then you'll find the cluster. That all happens in the on-premises environment. Whereas in cloud, every cloud is having specialized services which I already have listed, Anuj. Okay.
Yep.
The master machine is provided as form of service. There is no downtime at all. High availability is already achieved in Kubernetes. Okay.
Correct.
That's
correct.
It. Perfect. Master machine is not provided as a Linux machine. Okay. It is given it's given as form of a service. As it is a service, it never fails. So you don't need to worry about the master machine. It's already high availability is achieved. Okay. Let's connect to cluster. So from now, when I say I'm connecting to cluster, you have to understand that I'm connecting to master.
So there is no concept of connecting to nodes directly as well?
No.
Oh.
Connect.
We have only one interface to connect.
That's it. Okay. When you're communicating to AWS, services, we are using the terminals like git bash, you're using the terminals like putty, isn't it? Okay. So here the terminal is integrated, run in Cloud Shell. Okay. So it is integrated.
We don't have to do anything. Open here.
Gets automatically connected. This is a terminal. Cloud Shell is a integrated terminal in GCP. Interesting, isn't it, Maheshwara? Integrated terminal in GCP.
So Sunil, one guy is saying that actually he is going to give IAM user, but every month we have to pay 500. Is it good if 1 year has been expired actually in AWS?
Who is telling?
No, I think one who is the AWS person actually, I got his contact through LinkedIn actually.
Okay.
He was saying that like he will give, I have to pay him 500, but one IAM user he will create and then
he will attach the policies to that user.
Yeah, it's a good way actually, or it is expensive. What do you think actually?
Why? We already have an AWS account now, Maheshwara. We have our own AWS account. Okay.
1 year for expired for me, but I have to create another account, is it?
Yeah, you can go with. There's no harm you because he is anyways bearing the risk. You don't need to worry about this. Okay. You can proceed with him. So the terminal gets opened. The command is already copied. The user press enter and authorized to connect to the. Here I'm authorizing my terminal to connect to cluster. Cluster. I have already connected to cluster. I have already connected to cluster. Next point. Cluster. Next point. How many nodes our cluster is having, Anuj?
Three
nodes. If you want to confirm it from the terminal point of view, kubectl get nodes. Anuj, kubectl get nodes is a command to see the number of nodes. Can you tell me the command to get number of pods?
Kubectl get pod.
You already know it.
Simple as no, I guess it out. Very simple.
So kubectl get nodes is a command to see the number of nodes. Yes, you can see node 1, node 2, node 3. Correct? Yes.
Got it.
When you're practicing, after practicing, delete the cluster. Don't sign out. Okay, because this cluster is not one EC2 machine. You can ignore if it is one EC2 machine of T2 micro, you can ignore it. But these are 3 EC2 machines, three instances with more better higher configuration. So please don't forget to delete it. Next day, if you want, you can recreate the cluster and practice it. Okay. Okay. What is the smallest component we can create, Anuj?
Pod.
So let's start with pod. Okay. Inside the pod, finally, what you'll have?
Containers.
Container. There's no other option. You cannot do anything inside the pod. You have to have container only. Okay.
Correct.
If you want to create a container, you need to think from image point of view. That container, without image, a container cannot be created, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
kubectl run -- image. What's the name of the image?
Tomcat.
Tomcat. And web server. Okay.
Web server. Two things we want to deploy.
I'm maximizing my terminal. Okay. I am creating a pod. Pod. Can you see pod? This is web server is the name of the pod.
Pod, right.
Pod name can be P1, P2. I have named it as just web server, just for information. Pod has been created. Inside the pod, there is a container. That container is based on which image? Tomcat image. kubectl get nodes to see list of all the nodes. We already have done it. Anuj, tell me the command to see. We have created one pod. I want to see that pod. Can you tell me the command?
kubectl get pods.
How many pods you are expecting?
We are one.
What is the name of the pod?
That's name of pod is web server. Inside that we have one container called Tomcat.
One is name of the pod is web server. It's in running state. Okay, perfect. Kube admin. This is an application responsible for creating a master node. So these are the commands. If you are practicing on premises, you don't need to worry about this. Nowadays, nobody's practicing on AWS. Everything is on cloud. So you can ignore those commands. Next. The only component what you know is pod specific to cluster, specific to Kubernetes.
Right.
Pod is one example of an object. Not only pod, using Kubernetes, you can create service object, you can create namespace, you can create secrets, you can create replica sheets, you can create replication controller, you can create deployment object. These are all the objects you can create it in Kubernetes. Out of all these objects we can create in Kubernetes, the smallest object what you can create is pod.
Pod.
So don't think that in Kubernetes we can create only pod. No, not only pod, you can also create some other objects like all this. Okay. Don't
so
worry,
Sunil,
we'll see that
other services will be integrated to pod, or
finally everything is integrated to end line, bottom it is pod.
Pod. Okay.
End up finally a technology end with pod, and inside the pod it will be container only. No doubt on that. Okay.
So it's a responsibility of pod to replicate
these
to
other objects helps in achieving advantages of orchestration like load balancing, scaling, handling failure. All this can be achieved using this kind of objects. Okay.
Sunil, one small question. So if we talk about load balancing, so we are talking about increasing the number of pods or increasing the number of container inside the pod.
We will see practically. When we see practically, you'll understand whether it's pods or containers. Okay.
Please. Okay.
Yes, Vasant. Suddenly I can see you're dropping a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunil, like how does that hyphen image Tomcat? How does the whether like right now we have Docker? I'm not sure we've installed the Docker or not.
As of now, Kubernetes is using Docker. As of now, you don't need to exclusively mention the containerization tool behind the Kubernetes. Vasant, okay?
Yeah,
as of now, you don't need to mention what containerization it tools. By default, it always uses Docker. That's how the integration is done. But in future, if as of now, there's only one containerization tool that is integrated with Kubernetes. In future, if any other containerization tool comes up in the market, that can also be handled in Kubernetes. Okay, as of now, as of now, it's Kubernetes. It binded to Kubernetes. Sorry, it binded to Docker.
Yeah, the image name is Tomcat, but in Docker we learned Tommy.
Tommy, you can use a Tommy. Any image you can use it. Okay. I have just taken an example. Okay. You can create any image, Vasant. Okay, that's not a problem.
Okay, that Docker image been downloaded from the Docker Hub and
like how an image gets downloaded and the container gets created, and that container will be inside the pod. All this happens automatically. Vasant, clear? Okay. We have created a pod. If you want to delete the pod, kubectl delete pods and mention the pod name which you want. I won't delete this.
Right.
Pod web server is deleted. Now if you see get pods, no pods available. No resources found. Okay, that means no pods are available.
So we delete pod, everything inside that is gone.
Okay. So the next thing what we have to explain is, but actually we have to create the infrastructure by using a YAML file. Okay, that's the right approach, not by using the commands. Okay, so how to create a YAML file and how can we define what pods you want in a YAML file, how to run the YAML file. All this we'll be seeing it in tomorrow's class. Today we had the practicals of Kubernetes, and remember, after practicing, exit, close the terminal, and select this, delete the cluster. This will take approximately 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes for the cluster to get deleted. Remember, after practicing, please delete the cluster. Yes, Naveen.
Sir, I have one question. So everything in the Kubernetes you will show in a Google Cloud only?
Yeah.
Not in AWS, right?
Not in AWS.
Okay. So it's very costly.
Yeah, that's the only reason. You can replicate it in AWS also. Okay. The behavior does not change.
Yeah. So one thing, sir, in real time, everybody like will use in AWS this Kubernetes or in Google Cloud?
No.
Based on the
Depends on client to client. Okay. If a client is having infrastructure in AWS, definitely they'll use it on AWS. Okay. It's obviously from the client's infrastructure point of view. Okay, sure. Naveen.
Sure, sir.
Thank you, Naveen. Okay. Okay. So thank you all. Much more concepts of Kubernetes. Stay tuned for tomorrow's session. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you very much.